What's up, peeps? My guest today is about to put on a clinic for all of you tuning in. JJ Birden is the president of Team X88 International. He's a well-known keynote speaker, an engaging communicator, and a leading expert in helping individuals seize their opportunities in life. A 5'10", 157-pound wide receiver, he was drafted by the Cleveland Browns in the 1988 NFL draft and played 9 seasons. Cleveland Browns, Dallas Cowboys, Kansas City Chiefs, and the Atlanta Falcons. He's played with Hall of Famers like Joe Montana and Marcus Allen. He certainly was not the biggest, strongest, or fastest guy on the field, but he knew how to seize his once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and maximize his success through dedication and hard work. His biggest task to date might be the family of 10 he has. JJ Birden, welcome to the show. I'm so glad to have you on.
Hey, what's up, Frank? It's good to be on your show. I'm looking forward to sharing today.
All right. So before we get into this and kick it off and get into the actual 5 questions piece, I love to give my guests the opportunity to connect with the audience and share a little bit about who you are and what makes you tick. So give us something.
Well, let's see. I'm from Portland, Oregon, born and raised in Portland, Oregon. I now live in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona. As you mentioned, big family. I've been married to my college sweetheart, Raina, for about 29 years. And so we have 8 children. Now, there's a story behind that. So we have 3 biological children, and about a little over 12 years ago, I got a call from my 5 nieces and nephews in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I flew out there to check on them, and the next day I'm in a courthouse standing before a judge, and the judge says, we're going to take your 5 nieces and nephews and place them in 5 separate foster homes. You're the next of kin. What do you want to do? So that was a little unexpected, but I did what any smart husband would do. And I said, Judge, let me call my wife first. So talked to my wife. 5 minutes later, we said, let's take the children. And so we immediately merged them into our family and went from a family of 5 to a family of 10 overnight. And it's been very rewarding. A lot of work, but very, very rewarding. So from an athlete standpoint, I was a 2-sport athlete at the University of Oregon. So I am a Duck. And I ran track and I played football there. I was really there for track and field. I was a really good long jumper. I qualified for the 1988 Olympic trials in a long jump. So that was kind of my focus. But everybody said I was too small to play football. So I begged the coach to let me try out my second year, made the team, and ended up doing both sports. But to my surprise, I got drafted by the Cleveland Browns, as you mentioned. And then my NFL career took off. Had some setbacks, a lot of rejection, but I ended up making it and playing 9 years. And now today I'm a businessman. That was always my dream, to be an entrepreneur. And I do that, as you mentioned earlier. I'm a speaker, best-selling author. I love what I do. Took me some time to find my passion because I went through a lot of different professions, but I got it now and I'm running with it.
Awesome. So I know you gave us a really great backdrop there and going – you did what, unfortunately, a lot of former pro athletes just don't get to do. They get to successfully transition. And not only do you have a family to rely on you and then extended that family, but also now you've parlayed that into a successful career post athlete and post, hitting the field and putting all that hard work in and found success there. So Can you give us a little backdrop on just a glimpse and how'd you get there? Was there something that you were like, hey, I need to make money? Was it urgency, or was it you knew what you wanted to do and you kind of set yourself up on that path to get to where you are today?
I think really for me, I was driven when I was young. The circumstances I was raised in and, just kind of how we struggled. I always made up my mind that I was going to break the cycle. I was going to do something different and really create opportunities for myself and my future family. I had no idea athletics would be the vehicle, but I saw the opportunity. But when I got to the NFL, because I wasn't supposed to be in the NFL, I wasn't your prototypical college wide receiver and all these amazing stats. So when I got there, I realized the privilege I had. I said, I'm going to take advantage of this the best I can. And as I got around year 4 and year 5, I just kept thinking about the transition. What's going to be the plan B? Because I didn't want to be one of those players who just kind of get lost when their career is over. So I started networking, met a lot of people, some doctors and different business people. So I was able to transition, when my career was over, I dove right into the business world, and I immediately became owner of a couple different companies. So I had the entrepreneur mindset, and I figured if this is going to happen, I got to make it happen.
Great. And you said something key that I just want, well, two things, but you said something that was really important for the audience tuning in to listen to. And you hear this all the time, and a lot of people just think it's a cool saying. Your network is your net worth, and you lining up and being and building that network of people is so crucial, because people help open doors for you. Someone that knows someone that knows someone, and I'm a huge believer in that mentality. So really great that you built that network, because you knew that you were going to get somewhere, and you were potentially need someone. But it is important to have a solid. You surround yourself with the right people.
Absolutely.
So you're exposed to a lot of people, experiences, you've played with top level athletes and put in all that successful time in your NFL career. And then off the field, you've been involved in so much, and a lot of keynote speaking and out there working with individuals. What is something that you really is a solid piece of advice that you would give to anyone tuning in? It's like, hey, if JJ's going to sign off on this piece of advice, this is what it would be.
I would say always have a mentor. Always have someone that that has walked the road that you're getting on, that's already reached that level of success, that has the freeness to speak, because whenever you can tap into a brain and have access to someone who has that experience, it's going to cut down the inevitable learning curve for you. And throughout my life, I've always had mentors, whether it was through athletics, whether through business, when I launched my speaking career, when I wrote my book, because there's just something about when you can tap into that experience. And you mentioned Joe Montana. I mean, I played 2 years with one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play a game. Now I was excited. This is Joe Montana. This is pretty cool. But success leaves clues, right? And I remember just watching Joe for 2 years, and just how he prepared and how he carried himself and how he was just so precise and just a professional, that I learned so much just by watching him, So that's the thing I tell people, because sometimes some will think that maybe they're too successful, they're too experienced, they know too much, they just, whatever reason, they feel they don't want to ask for help. And I always remind people, the best athletes in the world all have coaches, all have mentors. So don't be afraid to ask someone for help.
Great. Yes. A big believer in that. And one of the, just drop a little something just because it ties into that perfectly, is a saying that was told to me a long time ago: closed mouths don't get fed. So speak up. I think that's great. If you don't ask, you'll never know. So love that advice. I think it's great. I think that we get to get one-way mentors a lot, now being able to follow people on social media, but having a true mentor that's going to really take you kind of under their wing and guide you is a whole different story. So
yeah, very true. And can I add something? Because I think there's another element to this, because sometimes we don't have the belief in ourselves and our abilities. And that's where a mentor can come in. When I was in high school, my junior year, I was a #1 wide receiver in the state. I was a little guy. And my uncle was the first person that mentioned my name in the NFL. He said, "You're going to play in the NFL someday." And I was like, "Uncle, you're crazy. No, you're going to play in the NFL." And he says, "I believe in you so much that I want you to give me your first NFL touchdown." I was like, "Get out of here. Just say it. Okay, whatever. You can have my first NFL touchdown." Well, fast forward to 1990, October 21st, we're at the Seattle Kingdom playing. I scored my first touchdown. My uncle was there, and all I could do was give him the ball. But I said, "Uncle, how did you know?" And he said, "Nephew, I knew you had the ability, but you didn't believe in yourself. So I had to pour belief into you until you got your belief where it needed to be." And he was right, so that, I think, is another benefit of having someone who can really pour that belief into you to where your belief is where it needs to be, so you can take yourself to the level you want to get to.
Oh yeah, no doubt. So what? Again, I mean, maybe it's the speaking circuit, or maybe it's just getting able to actually work with individuals and help them, like seize that opportunity and help them, that light bulb moment that they have. But what is it, day in, day out, that you love? What's that passion, that fuel that says you get out of bed and you run through that wall because you're excited to do it?
I think first that I have more control over my businesses. I have more control over what I do, who I work with, when I work. I mean, I have that freedom. I mean, I work hard, don't get me wrong, but as glamorous as the NFL was, you have no control. You can be the best athlete out there. You can work extremely hard, but if they feel like they want to cut you, they'll do it just like that. But now being an entrepreneur, I get to choose. I get to make the decisions, and that's important to me. And when I look at the NFL, because think about this, Frank, statistically, to make it to the NFL is very, very rare. I mean, since the NFL is about 100, I think 100 years old, there's been 20,000 men that have played in the NFL. The average career is 2 years, okay? The average size of an NFL player is 6'2", 245, 5'10", 157 pounds, and I played 9 years. You know, and I'm proud of that, but during that journey, I learned so much. And I love to share those successes, those failures, those wins and losses with other people, because everybody has dreams, they have goals, they have opportunities. And that's what I love the most, that I can give them a roadmap from my own personal experience to help them achieve the goals that are important to them. So that really drives me, not to mention my family. I mean, that's a why. Taking care of my family and being able to provide for them is always a motivating factor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so kind of on the just flip side of that a little bit, and thinking again, the people you get exposed to, all the people you get interact with, maybe people that you've mentored before, and maybe there's this common theme that you see. But what is, if you could change one thing, if you say, I look out on there and I this is something I would change, what would that be?
That would have been the simple fact that when I first left the NFL, I was obsessed with being successful. I didn't want to be one of those guys you read about who loses everything. And so I immediately made small investments in 6 different companies. 6 different companies. 3 failed and then 3 survived. And I ran those companies for about 10 years. But the lesson I learned was, Frank, I spread myself way too thin. I tried to do too much too soon, and all those companies were in different states. And so I might own the businesses, but they really owned me. And I didn't really take advantage of the opportunities right away. So what I would tell people is, you find one thing and you master that. You be really good at that. If it's that one business, you make sure you're there from day to day to be involved. My businesses were out of state. I was not involved every single day, even if you're on the phone. So that is definitely something I would change, and focus on one thing and really commit to that and be really good at that.
Yeah, and you're right about spreading yourself thin. I think a lot of us try that. And to even echo what you're saying, a lot of us try to master everything. We can't be the best at everything. And being able to say, I know my strengths right here, and this is what I'm going to really nail. I think that's so crucial, especially for any aspiring entrepreneur.
Yeah, and that's what I've learned. And now I say no a lot now. What I'm doing right now is about all I can handle. Let's be good at that.
And no is powerful. I mean, yes is powerful, but saying no and learning how and when to say no is so, so crucial. So it's time. We have only so much time, and once it's gone, we don't get it back. So agreed. All right, so where are we going to be? This is my favorite part of the show. Love to get a glimpse. If you look out there on the landscape, where we're at today, and no topic is off limits. Whatever you think, but 5, maybe 10 years out, where are we going?
Where are we going? Oh man, that's a good question. Well, I know one thing for me, I won't have any more children in the house, so I know there's going to be, whatever it's going to be with my wife, and us traveling and doing volunteer work and doing the things we want to do. But I don't know, I think I'm intrigued with artificial intelligence. I think that's a pretty hot topic. I think there's going to definitely be an impact there, because robots and AI is really already making an impact and replacing jobs. And I think there's a huge, I think that's going to be a huge impact, on the way we live. Fortunately, I'm in the speaking industry. I don't think there's going to be any robots doing any motivational speaking. But yeah, I think technology will continue to evolve and continue to make our life convenient, but also could hurt some industries too. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that.
Got it. Great. Yes, and you make a good point. it'll help and it'll automate some, maybe create some jobs for the right people who kind of get down that path. But then there's going to be some jobs lost to automation, and that's, unfortunately, that's a fact. It's going to happen. But I think, like you said, people paying attention now, I think, is what's important to what's coming. So that's just it's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to wake up and say, oh, all the jobs are gone. So yeah, I think paying attention to AI is something everyone needs to be doing.
Yeah.
So where do we find you? Someone says, you know what, I need a keynote speaker, or I want to learn more about JJ and how his what he brings when he comes to speak at an event. Where do folks find you? How do they get in touch with you?
I'd say my website, jjbirden.com, is the best place to go. That's the hub. You can learn everything you want to know about me from a speaker standpoint. You can look at some nice clips of me speaking. I have the Birden Report, which is my monthly motivational newsletter. I try to release some kind of motivational content there. And I'm all over social media. I mean, like you, I'm very active. I love social media. I love to engage and establish new relationships. And I don't think there's any other JJ Burdens on the internet. So if you just punch my name in there, you'll find me.
Yes, and I can validate the fact that you hit everyone back. You reply to your comments and you put out some great content, especially on LinkedIn. So enjoyed following your journey there. Enjoyed having you today as a guest. Really, really appreciate it. And if anyone tuning in has any questions, feel free to reach out, drop them in the comments wherever you see this post, and we'll make sure that JJ gets you an answer. So JJ, thank you so much for making some time for us.
Yeah, thank you too, Frank. And I want to say thank you too for your content as well. You produce some very positive, some very informative and inspiring content. So keep up the good work.
Yes, thank you. Much appreciated.